and it's not started. And I have to introduce, I'm not introduce you, but I'm just going to say we're speaking about it.
Oh,
You'll be all right. Don't
a
worry.
couple of points.
All right. So we're live now. What we're going to do is it's Kate Floss back here. And what we're just going to do is we're just going to chat about, all right, there's the chats there. Okay. Hello. So we're just going to chat about some of the things about what's been going on in New Zealand. So I've got my friend here, and my friend's just going to talk about some things that my friend wants to express. So what are we talking about here, matey?
So I can't remember what month it was when the videos were going around with Liz Lambert and Alfred Mitchell, I think his name is.
Yeah.
And they were going through all these documents and everyone was listening intently. Or what's Liz Lambert got to say about these documents? And, you know, if we didn't fall asleep while all this stuff was being discussed with Liz Lambert, it turns out, well, people knew anyway.
Well, can I just stop you there for a minute, because one of the things that I'm just really noticing is that they bombard people with so much information that people just can't absorb it. And this is deliberate. And then they slip little things in there. Yeah, and this is deliberate, and that you just say that you sit there for 2 hours listening to this stuff and you're not really hearing anything that is significant. And then just when you're falling off to sleep, that's when they slip in the important stuff. You see, it's very sneaky what they're doing to our people in New Zealand.
So she had Alfred Mitchell on videos, and I was watching it, trying to figure out what was going on. But, people knew after the previous October the 28th carry-on with Michael Stace.
What happened in the previous? What happened in the previous?
Well, I don't really know.
Yeah.
But they were up there doing some dodgy document signing.
Yeah.
And then that's when Billy Te Kahika and Michael Stace parted ways.
So this is
so they say. But so all of this stuff that Liz Lambert was talking about was to do with that. But people already knew, because the people that were up at the event on the 28th of October the year before spoke about it, and a lot of people knew about it. But somehow Liz Lambert made a bit of a deal about it.
Yeah.
That she was representing.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what the outcome of that representation was.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting that that's what was happening this time last year, and now we're here
on the 28th again.
Yeah.
So
more shenanigans.
Well, I remember that video from Liz Lambert, and everybody in New Zealand knows Liz Lambert, but I remember that video, and what had happened was, apparently there was some kind of, on the Waitangi grounds, there was some kind of document signed, and was it the 28th at the same date? I think it,
I think it was.
I think it was the 28th, and documents were signed. And then when the thing was over, a lot of people that were there, the documents that they signed were not the documents that would come out of it. And then Michael Stace, there's a big story about it, but we don't have to get in it. What the main point we're making is that we've got a lot of lawyers.
Jacinda Ardern had something to do with it, and she signed it, and it all blew up, and it took up a couple of days of listening to this stuff, and apparently Jacinda Ardern under another name. What was that other name?
Yeah.
Can't remember it now. Remember that?
Yeah, Jason. It comes up as it's a C name, Chris Cos or something.
Crisco or something.
Yeah.
Kind of,
but the thing is that what they're doing is that they're bombarding you with all this information, and then while you're not looking, while nobody's looking, well, we can just say that we've got these elite chiefs, and then we've got the commoner New Zealand Maori, we've got the elite Anglo freaks, and then we've got the commoner Anglo people. Now, we're just the commoner people that are just doing our work and loving our country and thinking that we have some power in our country. Now, there's what they've been, and then they're going and getting you to have secret groups in these Zoom meetings and in these huis. Now, Corey Bond was one of the people that bought this Maori Rangers card for $50. And they've been telling them, you know, if you have this Maori Rangers card, you've got all this power. You don't have to listen to the police. You can go and do anything what you want. And Corey Bond was thrown into the field today with no assistance, and he tried to use his card to get past the police blocks, and they just more or less laughed at it. They said that card is useless.
Yeah, well, that
Yeah.
happened to some Thai refugees back in 2000.
Yes.
And I was reading today somewhere about the Maori government
Yeah.
in 2000,
Yeah.
headed by Calvin Alp.
Headed by Calvin Alp. So Calvin Alp.
Calvin Alp.
Who heads
and
the Maori
Perrin.
Rangers?
Oh, I don't know, but
What about
they were
Calvin
using,
Alp?
they tried to use the Maori passports of the Maori government in 2000
Yeah.
to get all these Thai refugees into the country, and
Ah.
it didn't work.
Yeah.
And he also tried to use it, I believe, to go to the Solomon Islands to
Yeah.
his gold mine. He started the Maori passports.
Oh, so this is Calvin Alp started the Maori
Calvin Alp.
passports. And what these people have
I was
been
reading
doing
it today.
Yeah, and what these people have been doing is setting up these
20 years ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago. Well, this has been going on for like 40 years now, and they're really doing the damage to our country, the damage to our people, the damage to our Treaty of Waitangi and the covenant that was made is absolutely horrendous. And people, and this is no different than what happened in 1835 when the chiefs sold the land, and the people that were left there, including the Anglo people that were settled there, they were left to deal with the chaos, and they didn't know what was going on. And that's what's going on now. They've got these I don't know, these lawyers and wealthy people that are going around encouraging New Zealand Maori
as well.
Who?
She's in that voice. Oh, Claire Deeks in the Voices for Freedom.
Claire Deeks, yeah. Now these are lawyers, and I'm telling you something. These lawyers are not stupid people. But what they're doing is they're taking very simple people, a lot of people that have not been educated, a lot of people that left school when they were like 13 or 14 years old and have worked their guts out all their lives thinking that they have a country, and they've taken them aside, and this is what the pedophiles do, isn't it? What they take the kids aside and they say, don't talk to your family, don't talk to your mother, come away over here with us. And they take you away and they show you all these nice things that they're going to give you. And when you've lost your family, when you've lost your country, when you've lost your roots, they freaking dump you. And this is what happened to Corey Bond. They just dumped him, and this is going to be happening more and more. Now as getting back to,
I'd be wanting a refund on the
I'd be
card.
We want a fucking refund on the Maori Ranger crap fucking card, because as has been proven today, you can't use that Maori Rangers fucking card for shit. The cards
the Thai refugees found out the hard way too.
Yeah, well, they had,
20 years ago.
Yeah, and we had another guy with the allodial land that they're going on about, and they're telling people to not pay their rates, telling people not to pay their mortgages. And there was just recently, a couple of months ago, a man that he was told not to pay his taxes. You don't have to pay your tax. And then what they did, if They've put him in, that he went to prison for 8 years for it. He's in prison as we speak now. But what I'm saying, what we're saying is that
this is a thing that has been this sovereign citizen movement really there's a whole lot of stories about where I don't even know what they are, because I don't really look into it too much. But the Maori Rangers card, to is a branch of using the unique documents that we have here,
and
of the Ui Whakaputanga and the Treaty of Waitangi, the sovereignty movement, global. I'm not talking about the Maori Battalion and all of that stuff. I think that what's happened is these global thinkers, they're influencers, and they're very slick, and they use emotive topics. And the big emotive topic that really hooked a lot of people in was the Canadian residential schools back in 2011 at Occupy Wall Street. And this is what hooked in a lot of people who are involved in these Ranger stuff today, being whānau.
So what is
his son, they were following this very closely, and they were going to have a people's court and hold the Queen and the Pope. They served apparently summons on the Queen and the Pope. This was what was going on in 2013, I think. We had Des Wānau on Wives every second day, and it was pretty entertaining. But he was under the influence of Kevin Annett, who is a Canadian. He's from some religion, and he used to teach at one of these residential schools in Canada. And he took a bag of so-called bones down to Occupy Toronto, and was jangling the bones around, and said that they were the bones of children. Now, it's very strange that he had a bag of bones of the children of the residential schools in 2011, yet it's only was this year when Trudeau was running for Prime Minister again, that this whole story about the residential school blew up, and then it blew back down again very quickly. Kevin Annett was renounced by the Mohawks elders.
I remember that.
And it's on YouTube. That's on YouTube.
He was.
Now, they were bewitched by people like Kevin Annett. And that was the ITCCS, the International Tribunal of Church and State, or something like that. That's what they're calling today the People's Court.
The People's Court,
and, at the same time, in 2013, it became huge in social media here in New Zealand. Everyone that could have been doing stuff that may have changed the course of our history was sucked in to this thing called the One People's Public Trust. And they were network marketers that recruited all of the networks of the new ages that didn't ascend in the main calendar. And that was huge back in the social media days of 2012. And in February 2013, the OPPT came on Facebook, and everyone just sucked right into it. And they were using common law, and they were Americans. And one of them
Americans, are you listening up?
lawyer.
Everybody? There's a lot of
Was a
foreigners
lawyer.
in New
Her
Zealand.
name was Heather Tusi-Jarrett. And she was a lawyer that brought up this, and that they had dissolved all of these corporations, and everyone was writing letters.
All right, just wait there, because I just want to talk about. Okay, just wait there for a minute.
This is where it all springs from.
Yeah, just wait there. I just want to wait. I just want to recap what you've just said, because you've said a lot. So I just want to.
Well, you can listen to it again, but I've got a train of thought. This is where the common law stuff came through, was through these OPPT groups.
Yeah.
And they took over the common law, and they would not allow anyone to question them, especially people who knew about English law. It was real strange, and that infiltrated into New Zealand. And one of the people that was caught in that was Kitty Campbell, and she got done for something. They were all over here. They all came over here to New Zealand and was recruiting the people who got sucked in by the emotional story of the residential schools, and then next minute they are involved in common law and black laws dictionary, and
there's a lot of
about the
innocent
word.
people. They don't realise, they're not realising, and it there's a lot of people being dragged into this from all of the countries, including the Australian Aboriginals. But what I'm thinking is that what you're saying is this has happened in Canada. We know it's happened with the American Indians. We know it's happening with the New Zealand Maori. But our New Zealand Maori are the hardest hit, because we are so far away, and they are a lot of them are not that educated, and they don't have a lot of money to be, watching videos and doing all of that. And they have been so easily influenced. And but even though this has all happened with all of these common law things, a lot of them were fake. That we know the Maori Rangers is fake. We know that their documents don't mean anything. But that since this has gone on for the last 20 years, but what I'm saying is that we've got all those common law, and when we, people like you and people like myself that have some knowledge try to get onto the sites to talk about it, get booted off very quickly, and they don't want anybody out there speaking against it. But one of the things that you mentioned right back at the beginning is what they've done is they've latched themselves on to our founding documents that are very, very important to the safety and the protection of the borders of New Zealand, to stop other countries from taking over our little wee tiny country. And what they've done is they even though a lot of those were fake organisations that were making a lot of money from their little cards that they were selling at $50 a pop, they were making hundreds and thousands of dollars, and they're making money from their Zoom meetings, and they're making money from the koha, they're making money. But there is this other group, a secret group, that are actually the real McCoy. They have actually changed our documents, and they are actually putting it into our legislation. And what they've done is that for all these 20 years, when did it start? When did it very start that you remember? How far back? When they first started coming?
Oh, well, according to the news article, was around 2000 was when the Maori government was
set
in
up
in the paper.
In the paper, yeah.
When the
Waitangi Tribunal said that they did not cede sovereignty. That would they went in the paper. But I'll tell you something. Now listen to me. Of course you didn't cede sovereignty. And the Treaty of Waitangi never once said that you ceded sovereignty. The second article very clearly says the lands to the chiefs who are the sole sovereigns thereof. So it was always very clear. And that piece there has been removed from the treaty. And by that removal, you are no longer the sole sovereigns thereof. So I'll tell you that right now. Now, the Majesty never, ever, ever claimed to be the sovereign owner of New Zealand. But what they've done is that our friend was saying that they've gotten hold of the documents, and in 1980s, between 1975 and 1986, Manuka Hanare changed the whakaputanga, and he made this thing called the Wakamanenga that Mihi Forbes, is that her name?
Oh no, that's
that's a whole nother story. All right. Well, anyway, they did actually change it, and what they did is they took this Wakamanenga and they infiltrated it through all of these groups, these common law groups, as almost like a testing ground.
Yeah.
And that's what they've been testing to see what they can get away with.
Facebook. Yeah. Because Facebook only really came into life around 2010.
Yeah.
2009, or whatever, 2008. Now that was after the big bank, the share market crash, or the banking stuff, and everyone was freaking out about losing their businesses and stuff. And in 2008, right? And then the banks got all paid out. And so Facebook started the truther groups in 2009 and 10.
Yeah.
Were all about the bankers. It was all about bankers and the Rothschilds and all of that. That took up all the time.
Yeah.
And Merovingians and I was in all of those groups, and I wasn't meaning to, but I just ended up.
Well, you don't know, do you? Because they're so deceptive, and they're so welcoming and loving. Eh?
So Calvin Alp was running for one of the elections, and his political party was called Our New Zealand. Yeah. And that's where all the action was. Everyone was in that group.
Right.
And that is where a lot of this talk about using He Whakaputanga.
Right. Started.
And common law.
Was planted.
Because one of the guys in that group was called Simon Kaiwai.
Right.
And Simon Kaiwai was the man who had the connection to Kevin Annett over in Canada. The man with the bag of bones, right?
Right. Oh, the man with the bag of bones.
Under his directive. He was under his directive as to how to steer the conversations.
Yeah.
And I remember I was being sent all the stuff, and it just was, I couldn't even, I didn't want, something was not right about it. But that was where the first squeaks that I heard about using the treaty grounds to
sign documents,
get some power,
get power,
Whakaputanga, and all of that.
Well, you have to be careful, because we don't want to be saying Whakaputanga, because there's two. We always want to talk in the correct documents. What they're not doing is talking in the correct documents. That you've got the Whakaputanga, He Whakaputanga, which is the actual one signed by Busby, and then written in English by Busby. That is called He Whakaputanga, and that is the Declaration of Independence, which recognises the collective chiefs as the sovereigns and independent nation. It recognises them, and it also says that no legislative laws can be made without their permission, or something like that. But then what they brought in at the grounds, when they were going to the grounds, is when they introduced this thing called the Wakamanenga, when they brought in the Wakamanenga, now that was written by Manuka Hanari, and that has been changed. And the native chiefs, which means people born to New Zealand, that has been removed and replaced with the absolute rulers. And the Whakaputanga had that it only applied to the North Island in certain areas, but the Wakamanenga claims the whole of New Zealand under the absolute ruler of the Kingitanga. So whenever we're talking in these documents, we want to talk about the two of them. There's two complete documents. Now, this Wakamanenga, when they first introduced it for all those years back when you were talking about just then, they realised that if they went to the grounds, the Waitangi grounds, that would have a lot of power, didn't they? And that would have a lot of power to the New Zealand native people, that's a very special place for them. There's, as we all know. And when they took them there, they introduced this Wakamanenga, which is not the Whakaputanga. And they introduced the Wakamanenga, and for the last 20 years or so, they've been getting the various tribes. It started out to be the Whakaputanga and the Wakamanenga were just two completely separate. But now what they've done is they've piggybacked it on, and they've piggybacked the Wakamanenga, which is not our founding document, onto the Whakaputanga, and it's a piggyback. And I'll tell you, they've done the same thing with the Treaty of Waitangi, that they had the Treaty of Waitangi, which is recognised in law around the world because of the 1688 Bill of Rights that it's backed up by, and international law. The Treaty of Waitangi is backed up by international law because of the third article, but the treaty is not backed up by international law because it doesn't have any third article of governance. It's got no constitution. It's a long story. What they've done is they piggybacked the treaty onto the treaty, and they piggybacked the Wakamanenga onto the Whakaputanga. And not only that, if you look at your New Zealand passport, this false entity, this country or this place that we don't know where it is or what it is, that's not even on a map, they've piggybacked that onto the New Zealand passport. And I'll just show you something. I've got my New Zealand passport here. Okay. Hang on. If I can get it here. So I don't know if you can see it here, but here's the New Zealand passport. And you will have seen, where am I going to get in my mirror here? If you look, I hope I haven't got dirty nails, but if you look on there in your New Zealand passport, there, and what it says is, I'll just read it, it says, the Governor-General in the realm of New Zealand, no Aotearoa, because it is a fake place, requests in the name of Her Majesty, the Queen, that all whom it may concern to allow the holder to pass without any delay or any hindrance, and in case of need, to give a lawful assistance and protection. Now, what are the protections? Whenever you take your passport to another country, and when they stamp it, it means that they're agreeing to the Majesty's, the Queen's protection of the 1688 Bill of Rights. That's the protection they're talking about. It's not just any old protection. And that means that when you're in any other country, you're entitled to certain rights that they, even their own citizens, are not entitled to. And if they are not prepared to uphold these rights, they won't let you into that country. So what they've done is, this place here called Aotearoa is not a country. And if they just tried to take this passport here without the word New Zealand, they would not allow to be having that in there. Now, that in there is only there because of the Treaty of Waitangi, third article, which makes all of New Zealand people, Anglo and New Zealand Maori, subjects of the Majesty. As subjects of the Majesty, you come under the 1688 Bill of Rights. So that's why that's allowed to be in the passport. But with no treaty, all right, this place here, Aotearoa, couldn't function. Where am I? So you wouldn't be able to use this name of this fake country to use a passport to go to any other country because it's not backed up by any government that is respected. So what they've done is they've piggybacked this fake place that we think that they've got a corporation of some kind, is that right? And we think that, well, who knows what they're doing, I don't want to go into it, but so they've piggybacked this onto this so that they can use it. So they're piggybacking the other documents onto our true documents. And what the goal for them to do is to get all the New Zealand natives to agree to these fake piggyback documents and to renounce your true documents. That's what they're doing, renouncing. They want you to renounce your true documents, and they want you to accept these piggybacked documents. And then does that sound right to you?
Well, yeah, it's an interesting observation that I've had with the name thing. There was a big movement of real strange international global people had a movement called Lose the Name, and this was all linked in with this common law stuff, so-called. I don't even know what it is that they're talking about, to be honest. It was Free Man on the Land.
And the
Free Man on the Land started at an Occupy, and everyone that was anyone cool. See, I wasn't cool, but it was called like of the what commonly known as commonly known as so and so.
Yeah.
Commonly known as Dom was the guy at Occupy Wall Street that really started that whole thing, commonly known as.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was all pretty cool for a little while. And
well,
then
you would, wouldn't you? Well, I would. It does sound cool, and they're always telling you how special you are. You're
cool.
so special.
I hadn't heard anything like this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of free food.
It all got shown to be bullshit. It all got shown to be not English law.
Yeah.
It wasn't the law. It wasn't English law. It all could be argued with law and someone that knew what they were talking about. And that wasn't me, but I listened, I watched, and I saw it all get smashed like a house of cards.
Yeah.
And then it came about through these OPPT people in 2013 when all the new age networks fell to pieces because it was all bullshit, and no one ascended into a 5-dimensional being on December the 31st, 2012. So they funneled everyone through into networks, thousands of people flooded into truth groups and people discussing law, and they became the authority, all knowing about law, and they could be argued down, but they would just block you off their page. And,
you get blocked off if you argue them down.
Lose the name thing, and ITCCS, OPPT, all building. It was all building.
But then
global network.
Yeah, global networks. But then it turned more.
What we've got.
Yeah, but now it's turned more sinister because.
Well, what we've got now is it's spread out into all the agriculture.
It's going into the agriculture, but it's also morphed into reality because it all started as a fake.
That are heading The groups that are leading the farmers.
Yeah, the groups that are leading the farmers. Yeah, I'm just saying that they're focused on
they're talking about it too.
Yeah,
they're living men.
They started having, they started having, originally they focused on the New Zealand Maori, and they had all our New Zealand natives going to the treaty grounds and going to hui's and doing Zooms and, all this wonderful excitement. And, let me tell you something about, I don't know, I hope I'm not wrong, but just from what I observed, is that the New Zealand Maori and any natives that I know around the world, they're very communal. They really want to be with each other. They're not people that like to be alone. I mean, my husband's Thai, and my husband, if I say I'm not going to be home, he won't stay at home alone. He'll go and be with his family. He'll go and be with his friend. They very like to be with people. And when they had all these things, what they were introducing, they created very fun environments, fun, talkative, and some people weren't even that interested, but they just enjoyed being with the people down there, and they just enjoyed having the company, a lot of lonely people, a lot of people that were lost. And so this is what they preyed on. They preyed on, not pray like pray, but pray as in parasitically preyed on these people. Now, what had happened is, in my opinion, is that for many years, they spent many years getting as many people as they could to renounce our founding documents and to uplift these new documents that they had introduced into our country. And then once they had all this acceptance, then those things there, it was kind of a fake thing, like the Maori Rangers was all a big money-making thing. But now it's morphed, because now they've suddenly started putting it on our passports. Now they've got people like Sue Gray that want to have this Wakamanenga entrenched into New Zealand law, and they want to have the Tiriti in co-governance with the United Nations. Well, now after they've tricked all the people and they want to bring in they're bringing in the big guns now. Now they're bringing in the big guns to put this into law, and we're going to be in so much trouble. But then, just as you said, now they've started on the farmers, and they were having meetings. Now, Karen Brewer, everyone knows Karen Brewer. I remember there was a meeting down with the farmers, and the farmers who don't really know what's going on are being told to make their land allodial. Don't pay your mortgage, don't pay your rate. Brad Flutie
and Karen Brewer.
Yeah, Brad Flutie, Karen Brewer. Who else in the farmers' end have we got it?
They were the ones that were there, and they both said the words "starve the beast," which was Calvin Alp's and Liz Lambert's catchphrase on their.
And who is the beast when they're saying starve the beast? Who is the beast?
That was telling the farmers to stop paying their rates and taxes and stuff.
All right, here's some information. I'll just put this information that's just come out, and I'll just say that there's no confirmation, and it's just come on my message. So I'll just say that it's unconfirmed and it's undocumented and it's not backed up by evidence, and we don't know if it's true. So I will say that. But all I can say is that Jacinda has an uncle who is related to or is the Maori king, and Mahuta has a cousin or someone that is on the board of the company that is going to run the Three Waters. Now, this Three Waters is a whole nother kettle of fish, and we'll have to do another video on that. But we're just talking about my friend and I are talking about today is the background of all of what's going on in New Zealand. And we're going to get to the Three Waters, that's with the farmers. But what we're saying, now I have gone to check on some of these documents, and they're all related. The person that wrote the Wakamanenga is related to someone here and someone there. They're all related. This is a very small tight-knit group of, maybe 150, 200 people that are all working in this together, but they are so powerful. They've got a lot of money behind them. They've got a lot of power behind them. And they're so, they're so clever at deceiving people. All you people out there, I just want to say, Corey Bond, there are thousands of genuine people out there that wanted to believe in a lot of this stuff, and for the various reasons, and they've been duped. They've been scammed. And I'm just going to say to all you people out there, look, you might have to eat a bit of humble pie to save your country, but we've got to get in and save our country.
The Rangers will see it that way. I doubt that the Rangers would see it that way.
What do you mean?
Honest, I still think they will carry on.
They'll all carry on. Well, we know that they'll. Oh yeah, they'll all carry on. But I'm just saying,
I've got a lot of time investment into it. It's not got this.
They're making money. They're definitely
around and say, "Oh, this is bullshit." I doubt that.
Well, you have to ask yourself. You have to ask. No, I wouldn't. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there are a lot of people like yourself that were involved in it and realised that it was a scam and stepped away and started fighting against it. And there are many like yourself.
To know this, Kate Floss, what would happen? I mean, I've never been a royalist. I've never been a monarchist. I've never been really a patriotic New Zealander.
Right.
Not really.
No.
And not until
me neither.
This last year or so.
Well, when I met you, when I met you, before I met you,
happen
yeah,
is if everybody turned around and did the opposite of what they're doing now and what they hate you for, and start demanding honour the treaty.
Yeah, yeah.
What would happen if everyone started? All those people who are run around. I mean, I think from what I've seen, a lot of people have had a really great time and they got welcomed on and it was all beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't know, but what would happen if all of those people did a hikoi to Parliament with honour the treaty?
Yeah,
Tiriti,
the original.
Not Tiriti.
Not Tiriti, the
treaty.
original.
What
the one
happen?
That said,
what would happen if they were all carrying the
treaty,
flag of this country? I don't know.
1688 Bill of Rights, the original treaty.
Why why are none of these leaders asking or talking
about the Whakaputanga, you need the three of them. Yeah, why aren't they? They have hidden it. Well, I tell you, because
no one mentions it. You're the only person that's ever mentioned it. I didn't even know about it.
Nobody even knew about it. Yeah,
no one knows about it. None of these leaders are talking about it, and they sure as hell don't like it being written on their pages.
No, they don't. As soon as you put it on their page, they throw you out. And I'm telling you, what would happen, New Zealand?
What would happen?
And listen to that point.
They'd shit themselves.
They'd shit themselves. If you all turned up to Parliament, with a copy of the Treaty of Waitangi, our original treaty, the one sealed by the Majesty, the original Whakaputanga, the one that was signed by Busby and written by Busby in English, the 1688 Bill of Rights, you turn up to Parliament with the flags, the 5-point white Fimbrate flag and the British New Zealand flag, and those three documents, they'll shit themselves. They will shit themselves because I tell you, there are laws in there and there are penalties in there. And they're outside of New Zealand and they're outside of the UN. And they are bound by those laws. They must follow them. They must follow them because it says it. And so if you all turned up on a hikoi, fucking imagine that, though, imagine that. On a hikoi.
Imagine it.
Imagine it. You just all fucking turn up with Parliament.
The treaty.
Fly the two flags. Where's my flag? I haven't got my flag, but I mean, fly the flags. You turn up to Parliament with the original treaty and you say to them, and this is going to stop, and you get all these United Nations from the 1990 Bill of Rights. Now, Sue Gray has been filtering that through the courts for the last couple of years, filtering it to the High Court and getting all these laws entrenched. Now they're against the treaty. If we've all got to stand up, and we don't want any more of this, what tribe do you belong to? There's no more of that. We don't want to hear what tribe you belong to. You have to be New Zealanders that understand the value of the Treaty of Waitangi, New Zealanders that understand the value of the true whakaputanga. They're calling one whakaputanga. I'm a bit confused. I just know, and the true flag, the true 1688 Bill of Rights, which is not the 1990 piece of crap that they're trying to get you to denounce your original declaration, your original rights. They're trying to get you to denounce those, and they're trying to get you to want this 1990 Bill of Rights. That's what they've done. They already have been successful to get rid of the treaty and replace it with this Tiriti monstrosity. They've already done it with the whakaputanga and replaced it with this Wakamananga monstrosity. They've already done that, and now they're on the rights. But the one that's going through the courts is the rights. And that's the one that's going to end it for us all. It will. We've got to join. This is fantastic talk today. So I think is there anything? I think we're going to wrap it up. And we're going to come back on, if you would like to come back on. And you've just given some great information. I think we should come back on and have this talk again. And do we want to talk about the Bay? And another time we'll talk about the Bay, shall we? What do you reckon?
Yeah, well, what I was just going to say is the settlement money bought back the Shelley Bay piece of land, not the bit in front, which is council owned, but the one bit behind. And from what I understand is that 11,500 names were taken off the register, and the land was sold out from under them. And they bought the land for a huge amount of money. I can't remember whether it was 12 or 20 million dollars, and they sold it to Ian, the trustees sold it to Ian Castles for 2 million, which doesn't make sense, but that is what happened.
All right, can you just repeat that again? I'll just jot it down because all right, can you just repeat again, just so everybody knows? Hang on.
Who
bought that? So we're talking about, we're just going to do a few minutes on, we'll do 10 minutes on Shelley Bay. All right.
When Te Aotearoa got their Port Nicholson block got the settlement money.
Right, so there was a settlement money, yeah, then what happened?
Approximately 11,500 names were taken off the register and lost.
Right.
And when nobody knew that their names weren't on the register.
Right.
In the meantime, the trustees sold the land to Ian Castles for $2 million.
So the trustees sold it for $2 million.
Yeah.
And then that land is now worth about 500 billion or something. How much is it worth now?
Oh, I don't know, but
500.
All up the top.
Yeah.
All up the top is being sold off in China.
All right, so just repeat.
You know, right now it is being the sections are being sold off in China.
Yeah.
They want the people off the land ASAP.
See, right, right.
last weekend that the trustees and whānau against whānau,
Yeah,
we're going to come down and evict the people that are on that occupying.
yeah,
And nothing came of that as far as I know. But there's been a lot of interesting information about this Chinese-owned port, Chinese wanting to own the shares of the airport and all that land around Shelley Bay.
yeah,
So it was a great opportunity the other day to speak to a young man about recolonisation, because we are being decolonised, the decolonising. Well, there's a reason we are being decolonised, and that is for recolonisation, using the United Nations and the 1990 Bill of Rights that are not the inalienable rights. They are given by the United Nations.
And they can change them. But let's stay on.
They use the words that can mean something else.
Yeah.
And they sound good, but they mean something else. Like all of the buzzwords, diversity and equality. These are all words out of the United Nations. They're not the words from the inalienable rights. Inalienable rights uses the word people, not human. And because the United Nations recognise humanism as a religion, many of these people are what is called humanist. And it's a religion. And that is the religion that we're asking our rights of. And they are not inalienable. These are humanist rights. And that's something I've only just really picked up on. Because they are not our inalienable rights. The United Nations is partnered with WHO and World Economic Forum and the World Bank, and
I think we're going to talk about that one next time, because I really want to do a whole video on that. Yeah, we'll come and talk about it. Yeah, that's the New World Order. But let's just go back a bit to Shelley Bay. Going to go back just a little bit.
Shelley Bay.
So now what happened, what you're saying, I just want to say for the viewers what you were saying, and this is exactly what happened, is that there was a settlement made for Port Nicholson, as far as I know, and at that time, at the time the settlement was made, there were 11,000 more names still on the register. After the settlement was made, 11,000 names were removed from the register, and they didn't even know that they had been removed. And then the trustees of Shelley Bay, so they owned the Shelley Bay, is that right, through a settlement?
The trustees of the Port Nicholson settlement block.
Right, so the trustees of the Port Nicholson settlement block, they then took that entire block and they sold it supposedly, which I don't believe them, they sold it supposedly for $2 million. And the $2 million goes into the trust for sharing amongst the tribe. But that property is worth, I think I saw that it was worth about $500 million. They've built apartments and they're selling them piece by piece.
That's a very special,
that place is, it is. Well,
I believe that's one of the Tariwha.
Well, let's just talk about the money. Let's just focus on the money. Don't worry about the spirit. But I'm telling you something. I'm not believing for a second that they sold it for $2 million. I'm telling you right now, it didn't happen. And this is the thing that's been going on. Now, this is what happened in 1834. The chiefs would sell it. They may or may not give a little bit to the people living there. And then what did my friend say is that after it was sold, all of my friend's people have been told to get off that land. Now they're blaming, I'm just going to say something here, I hope you won't be angry with me, but they're blaming, what is happening is that they're blaming the buyer. But in my opinion, the sellers, which were the trustees or somebody high up there, got a hell of a lot more money than 2 million. And these deals are made secretly behind closed doors. I have no doubt that the government knows exactly what the deal is. And I have no doubt that the leaders know exactly, but I'm not believing that it was $2 million for a second. And what is happening is that all of the people are being left to deal with the fallout. And nobody's allowed to say anything because it's secret documents. And if the buyer says anything, or if the seller says anything, they put all these legal complications as, oh, you're going to lose everything if you say anything. So nobody's going to say anything. But, we may not be that educated, but we're not fucking stupid. We ain't stupid, and we know that land wasn't sold for $2 million. And we know that somebody got filthy rich from it. And we know that 11,000 people didn't get their piece of the pie. They're not getting their piece of pie. And so this is what they're doing all over New Zealand. It's not only Shelley Bay. The same thing happened for the Aimahutu. So I'm not going to go there today, but I just got this news here. We're going to do another video about the UN that you were just talking about, that I'd love to talk with you about that, and the human rights, but we're not going to do that today because the video's been an hour. But this is what I've got. Jacinda, I've got here. Oh, here, listen to this bit of information, my friend, to think of a name for you. Poppet, my friend Poppet. The new governor. Here, listen to this. You heard it live from Kate Floss and my friend that I'm not revealing. Listen to this. The new Governor General is Sue Gray's cousin. Yes. Fucking hell.
Oh, yeah.
The new Governor General is Sue Gray's cousin. Wait a minute.
Well, that's a bit of a bombshell to end on, isn't it?
It fucking is, Poppy. You fuckers. You fuck. Sue Gray's
right there.
cousin is the new Governor General, and she wants you to entrench the United Nations laws into a New Zealand constitution. I imagine someone could have got there. Wait a minute.
Is this for real, or is this?
Well, I have to read on. It says it's not confirmed, and we don't know for sure, but someone could have got their wires crossed, as there was a George Gray. As there was a George Gray who was a Governor General in 1861. But if there is a George Gray that is a Governor General in 1861, that Sue Gray is a descendant of, that is still very powerful as well. Yeah, we can't. No, I'm sorry, everyone. We can't make up stories. And unfortunately, that would have been a great bombshell to end the thing with, but we don't have the evidence. And Kate Floss, we're not going to say anything that we don't have the evidence. So I have to renounce what I just said to you. Take back the announcement. It's a rumor. Okay, we'll tell you here. There is a rumor.
It's a juicy rumor.
It's a juicy rumor. Oh, we can have rumors. Right, there is a juicy rumour that Sue Gray is the cousin of the new Governor General. That is a juicy rumour. Make sure everybody remembers it's just a rumour and there's no evidence to back that up. But we'll be looking into it, you can bet ya. All right, we better go, but we're going to come back. We're going to end with the laugh. We're going to come back if another time, and we're going to have a video about this UN and the human rights and the human. But I've really enjoyed this. All right, so I hope there's nothing else you want to say, because we better go. They've been on for an hour.
No, I want to have a pee.
Yeah, we're going for a pee and a smoke. No, I don't smoke, but I used to. But we're going for a pee and a smoke. See you later, everybody. We're going to be back on this channel, and we're going to be talking to you. And if we all go for a hikoi to Parliament, and we all take our founding documents, the true founding documents with us, we are the most fucking powerful people in this world. In the world. They can't touch us. So we're going to be talking about that. See you later.
Yeah.